All right. If you own a business, you need to know today's guest. He epitomizes relational business. He's a master networker, husband, father, and highly skilled golfer. Today, we're looking at Vancouver through the eyes of Kyle Kiriakidis, director of Shepherd Marketing and Goleft Agency. If this is your first time on the channel and you want to know everything there is about real estate in Vancouver, subscribe below. Tap the bell for notifications to be the first to hear insight from our latest guest and keep current on all things Vancouver real estate. Welcome to my weekly series, Vancouver Through My Eyes, where I interview a local Vancouverite and we talk about what it's like to live, work, play, and invest in Vancouver. My name is Megan Becker, local realtor. I'm passionate about our city and helping people make moves within it. So if you are looking to make moves, give me a call, text, or email, and I'm excited to help you make moves in the best city in Canada. Kyle, thank you so much for joining me. I'm really excited to have you here.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Thank you for inviting me onto the show.
Absolutely. So let's dive in a little bit to your work background because we met earlier this year at a BNI group, and I was just really drawn. You were very, very open. The whole BNI as a whole was just very open to collaborating, and I still have really great connections I maintain just from that one time that I went. But tell me a little bit about what you do work wise with Goleft and Shepherd.
Yeah, thanks so much. So with Goleft, we primarily work with companies around the world that are in e-commerce, specifically with their paid advertising, funnels, email marketing, and consult them on how to have consistent profitable sales from paid advertising and their digital ecosystem. So we have a lot of different companies that sell consumer product goods, fashion, subscriptions, course materials, things like this. And what I found was that there was and that's a very premium service. What I found was there was a gap in the marketplace for brick and mortar businesses, construction companies, and real estate agents and real estate professionals to have digital marketing services in a way that help incubate their company, maybe a smaller business, medium-sized business that doesn't have more than like a $750 a month budget. So I created Shepherd Marketing. And the idea around that is that we shepherd you through the digital age. So you might be a business owner, construction company owner specifically, that doesn't have any idea about social media, never really got on the internet train, and now AI is here and you're like, what do I do?
Yeah.
And so, for a really simple subscription, we can handle your social media, your email marketing, some lead generation, maybe some website development, some branding and things like that. And so I was part of my involvement with BNI, Business Networking International. I saw that it was really hard for my colleagues to refer someone to me where our minimum retainer was like 5 to 10K US. And so I said, okay, well, how do I help serve this other market of small business owners, medium-sized businesses that are Canadian that can't afford USD because of the rate? And so I created Shepherd Marketing. And I've been in this industry for 5 years. I've worked with hundreds of entrepreneurs and many business owners. I also have my own personal website, kylekiriakidis.me, where I talk a little bit about database marketing, some of the case studies where I've helped companies generate 6 to 7 figures as a sales consultant and strategist, and took all those learnings into Shepherd Marketing. So I come in and I consult my clients, and then we utilize a mixture of talent from around the world and AI technology to be able to give these amazing rates to companies that produce results. And so we're really focused on ROI and having impactful campaigns that move the needle, not just fuzzy pictures and images all over the place on social media and you don't know what happens with them. So that's a little bit about me and my background. And my favorite thing to do is to look at a company or a business and say, the question I ask is, how can we take what you've already done in your existing assets and customer data and get you a huge return right away before spending money on paid ads, websites, or all this digital marketing? And I have so many cases where we've worked with a carpet cleaning company, done a really quick campaign, generated them $18,000. Next year, 25 grand. Recently, we worked with a financial advisor that had a database of 125 people, and they told me they generated $32,000 in commissions in just over 90 days. So that gets me really, really excited.
That's awesome. Yeah, marketing is an interesting field because from my experience and, being in the business sector, it's, and what I really liked when we sat down was you had these metrics to actually track stuff. Marketing can be sometimes kind of fluffy, but you had specific metrics that you measure and the results that you've created from other clients. So I'm curious. You said you've been in it for 5 years. What inspired the the transition into this business?
Yeah, so I was born in Vancouver. I moved to Florida Keys when I was 6. And then I came back and landed in the North Shore when I was 16. Went to school there, ended up going to North Delta. And after high school, I got into construction. So I was a rod buster, a sparky. I did all these different jobs and ended up in civil construction, working with companies like Jacob Brothers and JJM Construction, traveling up north, out of town as a surveyor, heavy equipment operator. I did everything. Right. And I excelled very quickly and I was making very good money, but I realized I'm trading all my time for money. So then I came back to Vancouver, North Delta, where I lived, and I went to school for accounting. And I thought, I'm going to be an accountant. And I almost had my diploma and I ran out of money and going, well, gosh, what do I do now? So I found door-to-door sales. And so I went across Alberta selling home alarms.
Okay.
And I just had taken a really amazing communication course, Communication Access to Power with Landmark. And I discovered that I had a knack for really listening to people and helping them solve problems. And I excelled in door-to-door sales. So then from there, I did that for a couple of years. And then I started working with a tech company. COVID happened and we ran out of money and got laid off. And so I'm sitting at home during COVID going, what do I do? So then within a period of 2 months, I got 3 contracts as a remote closer, having calls like this, having sales consultations and closing deals. I was able to make multiple 5 figures, found a real big groove. And one of the companies, I actually acquired part of it and grew it and exited that company. And some of those clients that I had in that time, I still work with to this day, 3-4 years later.
That's very cool. Yeah, it's so interesting how, different career paths and different things will lead up and to accumulate. You accumulate all of these different skills and, different kind of personal assets, if you want to say it that way, to position yourself into, a really great career, which, you're excelling at now, which is really cool.
Yeah, thanks so much. I'm having a lot of fun doing it.
That's awesome. That's part of it. Hey, that's a huge aspect of it. So you said you're born in Vancouver. You've lived in a few different locations. So tell me, where do you call home right now, and why this area?
So I live in White Rock, British Columbia. That's just off the King George exit off the highway there, going out to the border. And I love White Rock, South Surrey. And I also belong to a golf club in Tawasin, Beach Grove Golf Club. We went and played there once, and it's so sunny over there all the time.
It's so nice.
And before I moved to White Rock from North Delta, I thought, I don't want to move to White Rock, South Surrey. You're stuck in the corner over there. There's nothing going on. But what I've discovered is everything is within 5 to 10 minutes from my house.
Yeah.
It is like the ultimate convenience factor. I can't, in Delta, it took me 15 minutes to go 8 blocks to the grocery store. Yeah. Now I can get to the grocery store in 2 minutes. So having a wife and a son and a baby on the way, that convenience factor and comfortability is really great.
Yeah. Yeah, I have really good friends that live in White Rock, and they've lived, in a handful of, they've lived in Langley, Fort Langley, Surrey, and they absolutely love the area there. And, another thing I would love your perspective on, because, when you hear Vancouver, one of the big negatives that comes up for a lot of people is the commuting and the traffic. And so I know that you commute to downtown Vancouver, or, I guess your office is in Mount Pleasant, close to downtown Vancouver. You commute, I think you said twice a week?
Yeah, it really depends. I mean, right now I'm on my office on Main Street and 5th Avenue. I go, to the Vancouver Club for the BNI meetings and such. And here's the thing, right, is I discovered years ago that the commute is what you make of it. And I find that in the summer, if I leave before 6 a.m., I can get here in 35 minutes.
Yeah.
If I leave before 5:30 when school is on, I can get here in 35 minutes. And I use the commute time as an opportunity to listen to books, check in with clients, you know, write thoughts. Now you have ChatGPT dictation and all these things that you can get so much done while you're on the move. So my car is my mobile office. And then when I'm driving home, you know, I'm not in real estate, and I make it a point to make at least 10 to 15 contacts a day.
Yeah.
So if I'm driving home, that's my opportunity to make some contacts. It's great because right now I'm commuting about 2 to 3 times a week. As my wife will give birth, I'll do less of that. And I believe in seasons and cycles, and don't really believe in balance, but more believe in priorities. And so for me, audiobooks and phone calls and conversations, reconnecting with existing clients, past clients, really looking at my own network of what I've already accumulated, what's here, and nurturing that. And I'm always surprised by what I learn and discover just talking to people that I already know. So that's kind of how I've shifted the perspective. And traffic is traffic. I mean, some days it's worse, some days it's better. You just kind of go with the flow, right? Make the best of it.
Yeah, I think that's such a great perspective, and I'm very similar. If I know that, you know, I've got a 30-minute or an hour commute or whatever it is, I'll kind of stack up my phone calls, because you're absolutely right. Like, let's make use of this time instead of, you know, it's a wasted 30, 40, 50, 60 minutes. How can we turn exactly like you said, how can you turn your vehicle into a mobile office? And that's one of the things that I've really appreciated about, like, just the short time that I've gotten to know you. It's just your mindset. And I think we share a very similar mindset on things. And, you know, it's just the perspective of how you look at things. You know, you can look at traffic as a negative, or you can look at it as, you know, hey, it is what it is. We can't change it, you know, unless you're going to get a different job, different location, live somewhere else. So let's change the way that we look at it and optimize, you know, the opportunities there.
Absolutely. I mean, I would pull from Napoleon's Hill, Think and Grow Rich. Every negativity or thing of doubt comes with it the equal seed of opportunity.
Yeah. I'd love for you to share a little bit more. So White Rock, why did you and your wife initially choose that location? You mentioned that you were in Delta. You know, there's obviously lots of other areas around. What were some of, like, kind of the top 3 decision factors that led you to settle there?
It was actually out of a bit of a situation where we kind of got forced over there in a way, where I had leased a place in North Delta, and I had this gut vibe that it wasn't going to work out. So like 2 weeks before taking ownership of it, I just said, we're not going to do this. And I had to get rid of 80% of my belongings and stuff. And her parents were living in this gorgeous 3-level house in White Rock. And so we moved in, and she got pregnant a couple months after that, just being so comfortable and with family. And we had our son there. And so we've stayed there because it's so nice and it's so convenient. And even making the commute to Vancouver is so simple. It's like one straight shot. There's not really a lot of turns. So, you know, I guess in a way I could say the divine brought me there. I was there out of just going with the flow of life and surrendering to what was being provided and given to me. But now I choose to live there. And it's funny because a lot of my friends from high school have since moved there and bought properties there, and they love it, and they're building kids and family. And so, like, you know, my barber is a minute away from where my son goes to daycare, and my daycare is right next to all the restaurants and all the grocery stores. And it's just like, plus I love living next to the beach. When I lived in Florida, I loved going to the beach and skimboarding. And so with the tides in White Rock at Crescent Beach and East Beach, I'm able to go and, you know, I'm at the beach. I'm 10 minutes away from the beach. I'm at the beach every Saturday, every Sunday with my son during the summer. Even now, I, you know, take my wife for date night. Last week we went and we watched the sunset. And it's like, you know, Vancouver's so unique. You can go golfing, go snowboarding, and then go to the beach and go clubbing in the same day.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. That's one of the things that I fell in love with living here. And yeah, that was gonna be my next question for you is what are some of the favorite things that you love to do? Because exactly like you mentioned, everything is so accessible. So maybe other than the beach, other than the golf course, what are some of the other like family things that you guys like to do in that area?
Yeah, so there's a lot of really cool things that you can do with your family other than just having so much access to nature and parks. I mean, I will say one thing about the golf. When I tell people that I get to golf all year round
Yeah.
through January, December, November, they really go, "Are you sure about that?" And it's true, you can golf year round here. And um, there's so many cool things like outdoor theaters. There are so many community things happening in like Stanley Park. There's so many events happening all over the place. That's perfect for families, perfect for individuals. There's so many networking events. There's a very really cool, hip kind of crowd in the downtown Vancouver core that's always having singing circles and drum circles and Third Beach and all these different things that are happening. Now they've opened up beaches where you can have alcohol at some beaches and things like this. So there's just so many different things that you can do. And when I first moved back to Vancouver in North Vancouver, I had a job at Seymour Mountain and I got free mountain access and rented snowboards. And so being able to access all the mountains and biking and whether you have an outdoorsy lifestyle, you have a city lifestyle, you have a business lifestyle, there's a section for everybody. And if you like a little bit of it all, you can taste it all during the year.
Yeah.
So it's like you get everything that you want within a 50-kilometer radius.
Yeah, I love that, and that's the exact lifestyle that I love is the business, the outdoors, the active, kind of meshing that all together. So maybe like spinning into the networking side of it. Obviously, you own a company. Networking and growing your business is a huge factor of that. So I'd love for you to share because networking means something different to everyone. Some people like the traditional networking events. Some people are more organic. What's your mindset on networking and what are some of the things that you do to outreach and to grow your business?
Yeah, great question. Thanks for asking that. So when it comes to networking, of course, as we mentioned, I belong to an organization called VANCOUVER. I'm the president of my chapter. And for me, networking is more of what can I do for you inside the philosophy of giver's gain, right? I believe in, if I provide more value to you than what I'm worth, soon I will get paid more than what I am valued or worth.
Yeah.
It's another Napoleon Hill line. And for me, networking is, if I go to a networking event, like, my friend John has these amazing events like Build 24 and things like this. If I go to a networking event, I'm really looking for 5 key people I want to connect with because I'd like to build relationships with those 5 key people and understand what can I do for you? Well, how can I provide value to you? What can we build together? If we're not earning or growing together, I don't know how that relationship's going to last. So I don't go for quantity. I go more so for quality, right? And so like when we met in BNI, I was like, oh, Megan's very interesting. She's moved here. She's a hustler. She's active. She's really curious. Like, let's connect and see how we can provide value for each other. And we've continued to do that in different ways throughout the last year. So for me, it's really about understanding what I can offer and what I can provide and providing so much value and building those lasting relationships. Because my grandma said, my yaya sent this to me once, like, you never know who you're going to need help from. It could be the tiniest little ant. So you treat everyone like, you walk into a building, you treat the janitor like the CEO. It doesn't matter about your titles. Everyone deserves to be treated with respect, integrity, and to provide goodwill because your brand is what people say about you when you're not there.
Yeah.
So what is my brand out there in the marketplace and the ecosystems that I belong to or that I don't belong to that might come back to me? So that's a bit of my philosophy and my mindset around networking.
Yeah, no, I love that. And you're exactly right. It's going into any type of relationship and saying, what can I give versus what can I get? and you carry yourself with a different energy. I'm sure, like, I've met people, I'm sure you've met people that, you can tell that they just want something from you, and they show up differently. And, sometimes, those aren't the, instant connections, but when you can come together, when people, they truly want to help, and they understand, that law of reciprocity, and understanding that, it's who you can connect each other with as well. I've always believed that networking is that. Like, if I can't directly help you, like, I want to know and have like a large enough network that I can potentially connect you to someone that can help.
Absolutely. Well said. Well said.
So as we wrap up here, I always love asking people, because, I fell in love with Vancouver and this whole lower mainland area for the lifestyle, everything that it offers. But, no city is perfect. So I'm curious, what are some of the things that you necessarily like don't love about the lower mainland, and maybe how you, justify or why it makes sense for you to continue living here in spite of that?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So, I think I'll just acknowledge the big, hairy thing that's in the corner and room and on the streets of Vancouver and even in White Rock right now. So there's a lot of people who are displaced, that are homeless, that have gotten themselves wrapped up into drugs, narcotics, and all this kind of side of humanity in the world. And I believe no matter where you go, there's different degrees of this. And, over the years, I believe part of the, our policies and our laws and how they're changing, and it's very flexible and open here. We've seen a lot of drug use occur on the streets and in our communities. And so while there's a lot of initiatives to address that, there seems to continue to be a problem or a challenge with that. So if I were to give one knock on Vancouver, it would be that we have a seemingly growing population of homeless people, or people who are addicted to drugs.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a tough thing. And, I'm very close to it, living right downtown. And, it's unfortunate and very sad to see. Absolutely. So I think that's, it's great perspective to share, and, something that, lots of people will talk about. And, we don't need to necessarily get into the political side of things here by any
We
means.
won't need to get into that side of things. I will say one thing about it, though, is that these people are humans.
Yeah.
And at one point, they were a child, a toddler, a teenager, an adult. They had their life. Things happen. We never know what people are dealing with and the whole backstory of how they got to where they are. So I've learned to treat everyone with compassion, respect, and not to judge them. And there's a if you have something like that holding you back from visiting or moving here or being here, it's not really an issue. It's something to observe and be aware of, and to educate yourself about, and how to interact and deal with that. So it requires some education and some getting used to. And I think if you can adopt yourself to that and observe that it's something that occurs, and usually in most places and cities, it's in the background, just a little bit more public and open here. It's something that you can really overcome. And I don't know how you turn that into a positive, but I'm still looking for that vein of it. But it's something that can be managed, right?
Yeah. Well, I think you summed it up very, very succinctly, just with the word compassion. I've always thought, you look at these people and they're in different circumstances than you, and it's so easy to judge. But then you have to ask yourself, okay, well, if I grew up in their upbringing and I was in their environment and I was around all of their input, like, I might have ended up in the exact same situation. So you never know. And I think to train ourselves as, the default should be just compassion to people in general. Right?
Absolutely. Well said. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I've so appreciated chatting with you. I've really enjoyed this. And I always just love chatting mindset and business with you. And but as we wrap up here, I'm going to put all of your info in the description box below so people can reach out to you. Cool. But maybe tell me and tell the viewers here, who is your ideal client and what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah. So my ideal client is a business owner that knows they should be doing digital marketing and not sure where to start, or they have digital marketing happening in their business and they're just not getting the return that they think they should. And to be even more specific, construction company owners, real estate professionals, and brick and mortar businesses. Now, if you're an e-commerce business owner or you sell digital products, I'd love to talk to you about how we can accelerate your client acquisition and maximize your existing customer database to get you a return on your investment. Now, the best way to get a hold of me is to email me at kk@shepherd.ai. Visit the website shepherd.ai, www.shepherd.ai. Shepherd spelled SHEPHARD, like the old English spelling. Visit my website, kylekiriakidis.me, and send me a message, or follow me on Instagram, follow me on Facebook, send me a DM, and I would love to chat with you and see how I can help you. And Megan, I just so appreciate you having me on and inviting me. And this is a really incredible venue and medium that you've set up here. And I'm just so grateful that you're bringing this to the world.
Awesome. I so appreciate that, Kyle. And like I said, I'll put all of your info in the description box below so it's easily accessible. And again, thank you so much for joining me, Kyle. And thank you all for watching. I love helping people make moves within our city, but my second favorite thing to do is connecting all the incredible people within it. My goal with this series is to highlight what it's like to live, work, play, and invest in Vancouver and connect all the amazing people within it. So if you know anyone who shares a unique perspective on living in Vancouver, I'd be so grateful if you could connect me with them. All my info is in the description box below. And please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you all next week. We'll be back with another interesting